Imagine you're unlocking your car with your remote key fob, and suddenly, another car of the same model in the parking lot unlocks too. Is it possible? This intriguing scenario was pondered by our esteemed editor, Jason English. Could his Toyota Camry remote potentially unlock another Camry, maybe in Phoenix or even as far as Toronto? This leads us to the fascinating world of car remote systems and their parallels with remote garage door openers. Dating back to the 1950s, these devices have been a staple of our everyday convenience, but as we will discover, their evolution has been driven by a constant battle between security and utility. Now, you might be wondering, what are the chances that my car remote could actually unlock another vehicle? To answer that, we need to take a deep dive into the history and workings of these devices. So, what are the odds of your car remote opening another car? Let's delve into the history of these devices to understand better. Remote garage door openers first made their appearance in the 1950s, working on a single signal system. The simplicity of this technology was its initial charm. Press a button and voila, your garage door opens. However, there was a flaw. Since every remote worked on the same signal, it meant anyone with a garage door opener could potentially open your garage. Fast forward to the 1970s. The tech world introduced dip switches, groups of 8 manual electric switches, to the scene. By setting these switches in a specific arrangement, the transmitter and the receiver could share an 8-bit code, providing 256 possible options. While this increased security, it wasn't perfect. In areas with numerous garage door remotes, the chances of code doubling and accidental access to neighbors' garages still existed. Now let's talk about cars. Early remote entry systems for vehicles were slightly more advanced. Each car had a unique code set by the manufacturer. This code was exclusive to the car's transmitter-receiver pair. Much like your house key wouldn't work on your neighbor's front door, your car remote wouldn't respond to the signal of another car's transmitter. The system was a perfect 1-to-1 ratio, but there was a catch. Every time you used the remote, it transmitted the same unique code. This allowed for the possibility of code grabbers, devices that could intercept, store, and retransmit the code later on. It was as if someone stole and duplicated your key without you even knowing it. But as we know, technology evolves, and so did these systems. The mid-1990s saw the introduction of rolling codes or hopping codes. Instead of a fixed code, these systems used a set of codes that changed every time the remote was used. This meant over 1 trillion possible combinations, making code grabbing a thing of the past. It was a significant step forward in ensuring the security and convenience of remote systems. But the journey didn't stop there, and neither will we. Tune in for the next part of this fascinating evolution. By the mid-1990s, manufacturers began using rolling codes to combat the code grabber problem. This was a significant leap forward in the realm of remote security systems. But what exactly are rolling codes? Well, imagine a pair of dice. Every time you roll them, you get a different combination of numbers. Rolling codes work in a similar fashion. Instead of using a single fixed code, these systems use a set of codes that change every time the remote is used. This means that the code transmitted by your key fob is unique and never repeated. Now picture this. You press the button on your car remote and the transmitter sends the current code to the receiver. Most systems use 40-bit codes or longer, allowing for more than 1 trillion different combinations. If the receiver gets the current code, it springs into action. If not, it remains idle. Here's where it gets really interesting. After the transmitter sends the current code, it uses a pseudo-random number generator, or PRN, to create a new code and remembers it. Meanwhile, after receiving the current code, the receiver uses the same prang with the same original seed to generate a new code. This way, the transmitter and receiver generate matching sequences of codes, staying in sync with each other. And of course, all the information that's transmitted is encrypted, adding an extra layer of security. But what happens if you press a button on the remote while you're away from the car, generating a new code on the transmitter and desynchronizing the system? That's where look-ahead codes come into play. The receiver forgives your human error and accepts any of the next sequence of valid codes. However, push the button one too many times, and you might just find yourself out of sync. The evolution of remote systems has brought us a long way from the single signal systems of the 1950s, providing us with more secure and reliable systems today.